Hi, Mom. I know you had two of these, but can you tell us about your birth experience? I think you should do mine instead of Trevor's, but up to you.
Oh, well, all right. Again, very quick in the experience. Having already had one kid and I was in England, I could have had you at home, but we lived across a little one-lane bridge from the city, and the hospital was on the other side of the city. And considering how fast I had your brother, I wasn't going to take a chance. So we drove in early and we're sitting in the hospital, and the nurses kept coming in saying, do you need gas or air? And I'm saying, no, I'm having this baby naturally. Oh, but do you need gas or air? No, I don't. Go away. So I'd be sitting there, we'd be playing cards. Someone would come in and say, we want to check to see how far you are. I said, oh, hang on a second, I'm having a contraction. And they looked at me like I was crazy. But I had already done that before, so no big deal. Anyway, you were in a delivery room. There was a matron and actually a nursing sister who's a midwife trainee who delivered you. And the windows were open, the birds were singing. It was in May, it was spring, and it was really pleasant. And you came and we were very surprised that you were a girl, and we were so happy because we already had a boy. Anyway, the other thing with England that was interesting is you were in the hospital for 2 days or 9 days. And we said, great, everything looked good in 2 days. But the sister matron, the head of the nurses, said, no, we're going to keep you 1 extra day, because I was a little constipated, which is normal. So they kept me the 3rd day, and that's when your jaundice popped up. And you had to then said, okay, we're going to keep you for 9 days. So I'm in a ward with mothers, 2 of us facing each other in beds, a planter with flowers, and behind us another couple of beds. And let me get back on track here.
Yeah, it's okay.
So anyway, I'm sitting there, and they took you to a different ward down the hall in another building, where they put you under the blue light, which was foam circles on your eyes and a hairnet to hold them in place. And you're sitting there naked under this blue light to get rid of the jaundice. And I'm sitting there having to pump like crazy because, hey, what am I pumping for? Oh, we're giving that to the mothers that can't do it. Well, why can't I walk down there and feed her? Oh, that's a good idea. So I did. And that was how we came home, and pretty much everything was great after that, but a very interesting experience.
And maybe, well, first I want to say I still can't wear yellow. It doesn't look good on me. I think because of the jaundice. What were fears or sort of preconceived notions you had going into giving birth for the first time?
Well, it was an estranged time of being pregnant in America at that time. I wanted to have children naturally, and everybody was pushing me the other way. I had a friend that was in NOW, National Organization of Women, and she was a nurse. And she said, try this doctor at this hospital, which was close by. And I did. And he and his co-doctor were both fine. You want to have it natural? No problem with us. But it was very nerve-wracking because everybody was trying to push me one way and I wanted to do this way. So, but I did join Lamaze and had a very successful experience with that, and it helped quite a bit. And I guess that was it. I wanted to have kids, and I was going to be very determined to do it my way.
Why did you not want medication?
I just didn't feel it was necessary. And also from my mother's experience after she had my sister, where doctors are constantly telling you that this is the way you should do it, and this is the way, because we're a male and we're a doctor, and this is what we're going to say. And I'm like, she had a horrible experience. She had to have a complete hysterectomy at the age of 26, which today would be unheard of. And
Your
I just
mom,
didn't,
you mean?
my mother.
Yeah.
I just didn't want that experience that she had to go through. And then all of the drugs she had to take, and they totally messed her up forever. So that's why I was very adamant.
Did you have any health issues kind of during pregnancy or after that were hard or challenging?
I had super easy pregnancies and deliveries with no issues afterwards. And, you know, a lot of people don't want to hear that because they had the opposite. And I feel bad, but that's just the way nature worked it out for me.
Yeah. What do you remember from your first year postpartum, either with me or with Trevor?
Well, with Trevor being a new parent, just kind of getting panicky about everything that happened because, again, I had no help around me. In-laws and parents were 3,000 miles away. I could rely on a few friends. The one nurse that introduced me to now, she helped out a lot, especially with nursing, to say every mother and every baby is different. Don't worry if you're not doing it the way somebody else is, which was a big help to just alleviate fears that I was doing everything right or wrong. So that was it. By the time I had you, I was a pro.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely easier the second time around. Though then you have another kid to deal with.
Yes. And I was very happy with that. A very easy child.
Which one of us? Which one was easy?
You, of course.
Yeah, right. That's
it was your personality. You were just laid back.
Put that on the record.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd wish people had told you either kind of before you gave birth or before kind of you had a baby for the first time?
Well, like I said, the advice I got afterwards, which is don't stress. You know, you're different. Your child is different. Your relationship is different. You know, you will figure it out as you go along. Don't listen to people telling you what you should do or do not do. And that's probably the best thing I heard afterwards. But beforehand, it was all new game. And I could not listen to my mother because, of course, her story was crazy. So
yeah,
I had to do it myself.
Yeah. Is there something you wish to see kind of in the future of like maternal health, or that all parents as they become parents would have access to or support in?
Well, support, I think situations are better now. For a while there, it seemed like everybody was pushing you had to nurse your child. Breastfeeding was the only way to go, and you were a terrible person if you didn't. And I'm thinking that's gradually going away because, as you know from your experience, it puts too much guilt and pressure on a parent to insist that that's the best way for your child. You know, there's lots of different options out there. And I think we're getting better at that. But I think we've got a long way to go in our country as far as the laws of states and governments, state governments going, and public interest groups that insist that their way is the only way to go. And once I think in the future we get past that, we might be a healthier country.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I remember going straight into the pediatrician's office, and breast is best was everywhere. And as you know, I had a lot of trouble producing enough milk for either kid, and both kids didn't latch well. And it just, that first month after my first kid was born was the hardest month of my life, because I just felt like, it felt so radical. It felt like I had to breastfeed. And if I could, that there was something wrong with me, that I wasn't strong enough. And I still feel that narrative somehow, but by the time I had the second kid, I think that tide had already shifted to fed is best instead of breast is best. And it really, it was much easier, even though it was still hard. And the thought I always had was like, how can it be feminist to tell someone what to do with their body in terms of feeding their children? Even the word natural is like a little bit, bodies do all kinds of things, and some of them give you easy deliveries, and some make a lot of milk and some don't, and you just want your kid to live and to be okay, and you want to live and be okay, and like dictating what is best never seems like it's in the best interest of anyone. But Yeah, I try now whenever friends are having kids, for the first time, to just tell them the same message that you got later, right? Like anything you do is okay for you and your kid.
Right.
Yeah. Well, obviously cool to be born in England. But you did that without, I mean, that talk about, you're already far from your family, and then to go have another kid over there with no support system over there either.
Yeah. And as you know, unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of support from my spouse, who didn't really want kids at all. And I had to really fight to get you, both of you. But I mean, that's developed and grown and improved over time. But as far as being able to do stuff, having to make all your own decisions and stick by them and be comfortable with your own decisions, because that's the only option you had. But again, I think it would help if we had support groups for new parents that were not hooked into one way of thinking. Like there's a lot of support groups for parents that want to breastfeed, but
Right.
there's not any support groups for parents that can't or don't have the option to, to do that.
Or don't even want to.
Or don't want to. It's
Right.
just, we need to have the support like I had.
Yeah.
Do what's best for you and your child and your family. And it will be okay.
Yeah.
But, we just, at that time when you're vulnerable, you don't need that kind of pressure put on you.
I also think everybody, like the government, should give everybody like night nurses, because the biggest problem with having a new kid is that you don't sleep, and lack of sleep is like a form of torture, as we know. And like the people who can hire, folks to do overnight care, like it's life changing. You can enjoy your kid when you're awake then. But anyway, maybe we should just like keep it.
Again, the things, like I said, in the past, in the whole tradition, it's been male medicine telling females what they should do or not do with their bodies. That's why I always wanted to go to a female gynecologist or something, because how can you tell me what I should do or not do if you've never gone through it yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know what menopause is like. You've never gone through it. How are you supposed to just, instruct your patients as what to do? So, like I said, we've got a long ways to go. We're getting there.
We're getting
more
there.
female doctors.
True. Well, happy Mother's Day in
Thank
advance.
you. I am happy. I'm happy to be a mother and grandmother, of course.
Yeah. Well,
I can look back and say, I did a good job.
I mean, I think you did. And, your kids are delightful. So.
And my grandchildren are delightful.
Well, that's the present back, right? Like you raised us and I gave you grandchildren. That was
yeah. And I'm glad I'm around here to help with the grandchildren.
Yeah. For sure.
Like which I didn't have the help of.
Yeah.
And wished I did, but again, you can figure it out.
We're doing okay. But I'm already lamenting. My house is getting messier by the second without you here.